Have you ever thought about why Indian politicians change parties so easily and frequently? In April 2026, 7 of AAP's 10 Rajya Sabha MPs left the party and joined BJP. Then 2 months later, 20 of the TMC's 28 Lok Sabha MPs broke away and said they would support BJP-led NDA from now on. It's a bit surprising for me, to be honest, because these were not MPs moving from one party to another party which are similar in ideologies. AAP and TMC had built large parts of their political identity around opposing BJP exclusively. These MPs had spent years telling their voters why the BJP should not be in power. Then they walked into their camp. How does a politician explain that to a voter next time they're going to face them? You attack a party for years, you ask people to vote for you because you stand against a particular party or on a particular policy matter. Then one day, you're standing next to exactly who you opposed at a press conference. The way I understand it, it should be political suicide. But it keeps happening. It happened before AAP and TMC. It happened before BJP became politically dominant. So I wanted to understand what these politicians are seeing or thinking that makes the risk worth taking. Are they being forced? Are they being bought? Or they're actually making a calculation about the direction of the power, where the power is going to be next. The usual explanations I managed to find online, either from pundits or main media outlets, is suspicion of money being involved, positions being offered, pressure being exerted from agencies such as Enforcement Directorate and CBI and so on and so forth. People often call this the washing machine effect. I can see why that explanation is so popular. Example, on 15th April 2026, the Enforcement Directorate searched 10 premises linked to AAP MP Ashok Kumar Mittal and his education group campuses as well. 9 days later, he joined BJP, just after 9 days. Now, does that prove that force was involved in his switch? Probably not. The searches were a part of an ongoing investigation. Nothing has been established against him as per the reports. But how am I supposed to look at the timing and not wonder if the move was investigation related? And Mittal is not the only person people are suspicious about. In 2024, Indian Express looked at 25 opposition politicians who have crossed over to BJP side after facing an action from central agencies. In 23 of those cases, the investigation was either closed or had stalled after the switch just went cold. That is 23 out of 25. So how can I read that? Maybe some cases are genuinely ran out of evidence, possible. Maybe some politicians had real cases against them. That is also possible. But these cases could have been used selectively when needed. And maybe some politicians were targeted because they were politically useful targets. I think all of these reasons are possible. But can pressure explain what is happening in AAP, for example, or TMC? 7 out of 10 MPs of Aam Aadmi Party crossed over together into BJP. So does that mean that agency had something serious about all 7? Maybe, but highly unlikely. I don't know. But if 1 or 2 or some of them were under pressure, why the others joined them in the move? Then there is Raghav Chadha, a national profile for AAP, almost a face of resistance to BJP. He used to tell people why BJP should not be in power. Now, at his crossover conference, he said AAP had abandoned its principles and sidelined him. He did not say anything about facing pressure or personal reasons or anything of that. He said it's ideological differences. He said, I'm a right person in the wrong party. Maybe it was the full story. Maybe he was hiding the pressure he was facing. I'm not sure. But this is where I get stuck. Pressure might explain one or two politicians timing the move at a particular time, but it does not explain groups of people, that to MPs, moving together. They can make noise together, but we hardly see it. I'm not convinced the pressure itself is the whole part of the equation. I'm not saying pressure does not exist. It definitely could be a factor, but I think it's not the only factor. So the next natural question for me was whether the BJP had created this political machine, the washing machine, that is resulting in so many defections. I don't think they did. BJP might be using the playbook very effectively today, but the method was older than BJP's dominance, I think. Take Mulayam Singh Yadav's particular case. After his party supported Congress-led government in 2008's confidence vote, the CBI changed the position in assets case against him. The Supreme Court pulled up the agency in open court, saying it was acting at the center's behest. Clearly a coercion there. So Congress used the same playbook and leverage when Congress had the power in their hand. Of course, I want to make something very clear here. That does not mean what's happening right now is acceptable. I'm not saying Congress did it once upon a time, so BJP can do its fair game. My point is different. If different parties use the same machinery when they reach power, then the problem is not with a particular party, it's within the political system. So clearly, something in our system, the political framework, makes this behavior possible, useful, and frankly profitable very clearly for some people. But if the method is so old, why do we feel that this has been happening quite frequently nowadays? I don't think it's to do with the scale, it's to do with the availability of information. I think what has changed is how closely we can watch it. Take my example. I don't live in India, I'm not close to the ground, but I saw the raid, the press conference, and the crossover on my phone screen almost as it happened. A generation ago, I might have read one newspaper report after the deal was already finished. Today, we watch the sequence unfolding in real time on our phone screens. So I think the method is old. What is new is the visibility, and the social media amplifies every case. Raghav Chadha, I don't remember how many hundreds of reels I've seen about his move into BJP. But once the same suspicion keeps coming up, what do we do about this? My first instinct was, maybe we should have agencies more independent. What I mean by that is, maybe their heads should be selected by multi-party committees. They should be given fixed terms and made answerable to a stronger parliamentary oversight. At the moment, the committee recommending Enforcement Directorate director does not include an opposition member, for example. The Election Commission has a similar problem. The government holds 2 out of 3 seats in the selection panel, so obviously they can veto the other member. I'm not a constitutional lawyer, so this is only my understanding as a layman who can read, basically. However, when I look at Western democracy, the parliamentary selection committees, Senate hearings, these things actually work because there is some sort of political discipline as a flow. The government and opposition may fight on policy matter and ideology, but at some point, they still have to agree on a candidate so that the system keeps ticking over. Would that happen in India though? Looking at how obstructionist opposition parties can become in India, I honestly don't know. By the way, I'm not talking about the current opposition party alone. I'm talking about generally whomever is in power. The other parties' main job seems to be making sure that government feels uncomfortable on a regular basis, basically. We struggle to agree on far smaller things. So what if the committee itself simply gets stuck and cannot make a decision about the next person leading the agency? So theoretically, yes, I think agencies definitely need reform in India for sure to increase their independence. But suppose the reforms are made, worked, and government pressure disappeared. I would still be left with the same question. Why would defectors move together in factions? Fear may push 1 or 2 people out of 7 AAP or 20 TMC MPs, but there must be something convincing all of them to move together. There must be something, right? So what is it? To find that out, I started looking at the problem from politicians' side. A regular person like me sees politics through rearview mirror, right? So it happened, and then I can see in newspapers or TV. By the time I read an election result, it's already happened. By the time I understand that, the party is already weakening at the ground level. The people inside the party may have known this information for months. Politicians are much closer to the ground reality. They speak to the workers at booth level. They can probably sense when their own organization has stopped believing that it can win in the next election. For example, hypothetically speaking, the TMC MPs who have campaigned through West Bengal for state election would have seen the mood on the ground at the very grassroots levels. They would have spoken to the voters. They would have sensed how far they are from the voters in terms of alignment. And then the results of the state elections come and their fears get confirmed. What happens then? Is it not a reinforcing behavior that would push them, what we are seeing actually ended up to be the result of the election. I think my time in this party is over. Let me look into my options to jump the ship. Then 20 TMC MPs moved into BJP in June. So I asked myself a simple question. If the BJP had lost West Bengal and Assam in May, would these 20 MPs still have crossed over a month later? I don't think they would have. Essentially, the state elections do more than forming the state governments. They tell politicians which way the power appears to be moving. In this case, the message those MPs seem to have received was that BJP was not weakening. It is still expanding. And if they expect BJP to remain at the center of the power for years to come, staying outside of it begins to look risky. It is a sort of gravity centered around durability of power. When I say durability of power, I mean it's not just today's power, but is BJP likely to retain power in the future as well based upon the conditions they are sensing? Just imagine spending next 10 years in the opposition as a prospect, which might be their best 10 years. Now, just I was mentioning a minute ago, power itself is not enough in these situations. A government can be powerful today, but have very little pull if everybody expects them to lose power in next election cycle. Politicians very likely to wait out in that situation because it's like booking a holiday and counting the days down, right? So it's quite exciting period, to be honest, because if I know my holiday is due in a month's time, I would be excited. But if you know that BJP is going to continue in power, let's say in 2029 elections as well, that waiting will not be so much exciting anymore. So it's entirely reasonable to assume that some politicians might just be looking for an opportunity to jump the ship. All they need is a warm welcome offer or a tiny bit of pressure. Again, this is just a fiction I am weaving as plausible explanation for what have happened. I have no evidence to back this up, just to be clear. Anyway, even though it is fiction, if I'm right about the psyche of being a politician on the losing side, then this cannot be something unique to BJP. India must have seen the same behavior and same pull around other parties in the past. So I went looking. For the first few decades after independence, Congress kept winning at the center across most states as well. If a politician wanted to remain close to power, Congress was the obvious address. Then came the 1967 elections. 16 states voted and Congress lost majority in half of them. Non-Congress coalitions began forming governments in various states, and almost immediately, the direction of political traffic changed. MLAs began leaving the Congress for the coalitions in various states because obviously it's their chance to be influential to help formation of state governments where they can be very close to the power centers. Between February 1967 and March 1968, India recorded 438 defections. Mind-boggling number. It's just 1 year, just slightly over 1 year. I'm sure you have heard the phrase Ayaram Gayaram. People, when they refer to deflections, they use this phrase. That had its origins during this time in Haryana. An MLA named Gaya Lal changed parties 3 times in 9 hours. So the obvious question here is, what changed in 1967 to cause defections at a very high rate? I don't think politicians suddenly discovered opportunism that year. Congress had simply stopped looking unbeatable. A few MLAs could now decide who formed a state government, and they saw an opportunity and took it. That history lesson made two things clear to me. First, this is not a BJP's invention. Second, the pull is not permanent. It lasts only while politicians believe that the winning will continue for a particular side. That's it. So that kind of explained human element of defections, and it explained why it could happen, the psychological factors. But does it make them legitimate and moral from both the defectors side and also the party orchestrating the defection? It's a difficult question to answer, and the answer depends on where we draw the line for morality. A political party can tell itself that delivering its mandate is the greater good. If it deems accumulating enough support in parliament to get a particular bill out as its primary responsibility to its voters, morality automatically becomes relative. And if it stays within the confines of the law, if it is not breaking any laws, does every move also have to be morally clean? It's a practical question. I don't think politics work that way. For example, take what Congress did in Tamil Nadu recently. It had been with the DMK for most of the last 20 years. Then the election results were announced. Congress left DMK and supported TVK to form the government in Tamil Nadu. Why? Officially, Congress said what it called the communal forces must remain outside the alliance. That is the only condition they put for TVK. My reading of that is they don't want to give BJP any space to enter the arrangement and build a foothold in the Tamil Nadu political scene. Horses for courses. Was leaving an ally for nearly 20 years to be a part of the government formation, was it a morally sound decision? Many would say no. But was it illegal? No. Congress saw an opportunity to keep the BJP out and remain close to power, and it took it. In my opinion, that's fair game in politics. If a rival politician has made himself vulnerable and the opponent party, finds some dirt on him or her, why would it refuse to use that to its advantage, especially when it believes that rival would do exactly the same thing when they were in power, or they are in power, or they will be in power? It's an interesting question. Now, coming back to the defector side, if they have betrayed anyone in this defection process, who would that be? Some might say party because they believed in them, maybe to some extent. But I think the main stakeholder in this process would be the voter, right? The voter chose that politician under a particular symbol. And now the politician is carrying that mandate to the other side they fought against. That's unfair. That would suggest that the defectors need to face the voter again if they choose to change sides. But are elections fought as a person or as a party? Answer might be interesting than you think, because it changes with which country you're talking about. Let me explain. Take Himanta Biswa Sharma, for example. He left Congress and joined BJP in 2015. Then he went back to the voters of Jalukbari under BJP symbol, and they have elected him again. They have kept electing him ever since. Was that his personal base, or joining BJP helped him to stay in power? I don't know. But whatever the reason, because the voters had a chance to reject him or reject his switch, it's fair game. Maybe they did not see it as a betrayal. Maybe they saw it as a practical move to deliver what he promised to them. Either way, once he won under the new symbol and faced the voter have spoken and the deal is done. The difficult part is what happens before the revoting takes place. Why should a politician be allowed to carry an old mandate to the other side, often the side they fought against to win the election in the first place? That made me look around, and I found Britain, which has a different system altogether. In the UK, an MP can leave one party, join another party, still keep the seat. There is no automatic by-election or need to leave your seat voluntarily. The argument is that voter elected the person and their manifest, not the party. I'm not sure if the same argument works in India, because The candidate's name may be on the ballot, but a lot of people actually vote for a symbol or the party leader themselves. Example, Narendra Modi. My grandmother used to say that it never mattered to her who was the local leader. She always voted for Indira Gandhi all the time. So the system India picked makes sense from that point of view. Leave the party alone and you can lose your seat. But if 2/3 of the entire party moves together, you're protected. I think these defections are politicians taking a bet that the center of power in India will be BJP for the foreseeable future. Maybe the politicians are seeing something that we don't see it yet. For example, on my videos, there are some comments about BJP getting weak, but I don't see it on state elections. West Bengal and Assam are good reasons to believe otherwise. Maybe the defectors are reading the situation wrong and they might probably regret tomorrow. I'm not sure. The real test will be next election. Thanks for watching. Until next time, dig deeper.